Hi everyone, my name is Laura, and I want to share my journey of learning English with you. Learning English has been incredibly important for me because it opens up so many opportunities in education, career, and connecting with people from around the world. When I first decided to learn English, I knew it would be a challenge, but I also knew the benefits would be worth it. Being proficient in English can enhance your educational prospects, open doors to better job opportunities, and allow you to communicate with a vast number of people globally. It is the language of international business, science, technology, and entertainment. For me, learning English was not just about understanding a new language, but also about embracing a new way of thinking and connecting with the world. Throughout my journey, I faced numerous obstacles, from struggling with pronunciation to grappling with complex grammar rules. However, each challenge taught me something new and pushed me to develop effective strategies to improve my skills. I want to share these strategies with you today, as well as the tips and techniques that helped me stay motivated and make consistent progress. I hope my story can inspire and assist others who are on their own English learning journey. Remember, learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. So, let's dive into my experience and the lessons I learned along the way. Episode 1. Beginning the Journey. When I first started learning English, it felt like trying to climb a mountain. The grammar rules were confusing, and the vocabulary seemed endless. My initial attempts were met with frustration and doubt. However, I knew that to succeed, I had to immerse myself in the language as much as possible. My first step was to bring English into my daily life. I began with simple yet effective techniques. I labeled items in my house with their English names. For example, I put a label saying refrigerator on my fridge, mirror on my mirror, and so on. This constant visual reminder helped me associate English words with everyday objects, making vocabulary learning more practical and less abstract. Listening to English songs became another key part of my immersion strategy. At first, I chose songs with clear lyrics and repetitive phrases, which made it easier to catch and understand the words. I listened to these songs multiple times, trying to sing along. This practice not only improved my vocabulary, but also helped with pronunciation and the rhythm of the language. Over time, I began to understand more complex lyrics and could appreciate the nuances of the songs. To build a solid foundation, I enrolled in an English language course. The structured environment provided by the course helped me grasp the basics. My instructor focused on essential grammar rules and fundamental vocabulary, which were initially challenging but crucial for my progress. We practiced speaking, listening, reading, and writing, ensuring that all aspects of language learning were covered. The classroom setting also gave me the opportunity to interact with other learners, share experiences, and motivate each other. One of the early challenges I faced was understanding and using English grammar. English grammar rules can be quite different from those in my native language, and this often led to confusion. To tackle this, I used grammar workbooks and online resources that provided clear explanations and plenty of practice exercises. I dedicated a specific time each day to study grammar, focusing on one rule at a time. Breaking down the learning process into manageable parts made it less overwhelming. Reading became another cornerstone of my learning journey. I started with children's books because they used simple language and were often illustrated, which helped in understanding the context. As my confidence grew, I moved on to young adult novels and then to more complex literature. Reading not only expanded my vocabulary, but also exposed me to different writing styles and sentence structures. I kept a notebook where I wrote down new words and their meanings, and I regularly reviewed this vocabulary list. Watching English movies and TV shows with subtitles was another effective strategy. Initially, I watched with subtitles in my native language to understand the context. Gradually, I switched to English subtitles, which helped me match spoken words with their written forms. This practice improved my listening skills and familiarized me with everyday conversational English. I made it a habit to note down any new phrases or idiomatic expressions I encountered and tried to use them in my own sentences. Practicing speaking was perhaps the most daunting yet most rewarding part of my journey. I sought out opportunities to converse in English, even if it meant stepping out of my comfort zone. I joined language exchange programs where I could practice speaking with native English speakers. These conversations were incredibly beneficial, as they provided real-life practice and immediate feedback. At first, I was nervous and made many mistakes, but over time, my confidence grew and my speaking skills improved. One of the most helpful tools was using language learning apps. These apps provided interactive exercises, vocabulary games, and daily practice reminders. They made learning fun and engaging, which helped maintain my interest and motivation. Apps that used spaced repetition systems were particularly useful for memorizing vocabulary, as they ensured I reviewed words at optimal intervals for long-term retention. In addition to structured learning, I also tried to think in English as much as possible. This was challenging initially, as my mind naturally reverted to my native language. However, with practice, I found myself gradually starting to think in English, which greatly improved my fluency and speed in forming sentences. Writing was another area I focused on. I kept a daily journal where I wrote about my day, thoughts, and any new words I had learned. This practice helped me apply new vocabulary and grammar rules in a practical context. Over time, I noticed my writing becoming more coherent and natural. To make learning enjoyable, I incorporated my hobbies into my English practice. For instance, I enjoyed cooking, so I started reading recipes and watching cooking shows in English. This not only improved my language skills, but also made the learning process enjoyable and relevant to my interests. Throughout this journey, I realized the importance of patience and persistence. There were times when progress seemed slow and it was easy to get discouraged. However, by setting small, achievable goals and celebrating each milestone, I stayed motivated. Each new word learned, each successful conversation, and each book read was a step forward in my journey. By immersing myself in the language, using a variety of learning methods, and staying consistent, I gradually overcame the initial challenges. My journey was far from over, but these foundational steps set me on the path to becoming proficient in English. Episode 2: Developing Strategies. As I progressed in my English learning journey, I discovered several strategies that significantly accelerated my improvement. These methods not only made learning more effective, but also more enjoyable, helping me stay motivated along the way. One of the most effective methods was reading English books that matched my level. I began with children's books because they used simple language and often included illustrations that made it easier to understand the context. Titles like The Very Hungry Caterpillar and Where the Wild Things Are were among my first reads. These books were engaging and provided a solid foundation in basic vocabulary and sentence structure. As I gained more confidence, I gradually moved to young adult novels such as Harry Potter and The Hunger Games. These books were more complex but still accessible, with plots that kept me interested. Reading these novels helped me expand my vocabulary and exposed me to more sophisticated sentence structures and storytelling techniques. I made it a point to underline new words and phrases and later looked up their meanings. I also wrote summaries of the chapters to practice my writing skills and ensure I understood the plot. Watching English movies with subtitles was another crucial strategy. Initially, I watched movies with subtitles in my native language to grasp the story. Once I felt more comfortable, I switched to English subtitles. This practice helped me match spoken words with their written forms, improving both my listening and reading skills. Films like Toy Story and Finding Nemo were great starters because they were entertaining and used clear, simple language. As my skills improved, I watched more complex films and TV shows like Friends and The Office, which helped me understand conversational English and idiomatic expressions. Listening to English songs also played a significant role in my learning process. I started with songs that had clear lyrics and repetitive choruses, such as those by the Beatles and Taylor Swift. I would listen to the songs multiple times, trying to sing along. This not only improved my pronunciation, but also helped me remember new words and phrases. I found that music made learning feel less like a chore and more like an enjoyable activity. Engaging in conversations was crucial for improving my speaking skills. I made it a habit to practice speaking with friends who were fluent in English. At first, I was hesitant and afraid of making mistakes, but I soon realized that speaking regularly was the best way to build confidence and fluency. We would have casual conversations about daily life, hobbies, and current events. These interactions helped me get comfortable with the rhythm and flow of the language. I also joined English conversation clubs and language exchange programs. These provided a supportive environment where I could practice speaking with both native speakers and other learners. In these clubs, we often played language games, discussed books or movies, and shared cultural experiences. These activities were not only fun, but also highly educational, as they allowed me to use English in a variety of contexts. Using language learning apps was another effective strategy. Apps like Duolingo, Memrise, and Anki offered interactive exercises that made learning engaging. They also used spaced repetition systems, which helped me remember vocabulary more effectively. These apps provided daily practice reminders, ensuring that I stayed consistent with my learning. I often used them during short breaks or while commuting, making good use of my time. Writing was another area I focused on to enhance my language skills. I kept a daily journal where I wrote about my experiences, thoughts, and any new words or phrases I had learned. This practice helped me apply what I had learned in a practical context and improved my writing fluency. Over time, my journal entries became more detailed and sophisticated, reflecting my growing confidence and competence in English. To further improve my grammar and vocabulary, I used online resources and grammar workbooks. Websites like Grammarly and Purdue OWL offered clear explanations and exercises on various grammar topics. I dedicated specific times each week to focus on grammar, tackling one rule at a time. This systematic approach helped me understand the structure of the language better and reduced the number of mistakes I made in speaking and writing. Listening to English podcasts was another strategy that proved highly beneficial. Podcasts covered a wide range of topics, from news and storytelling to science and culture. Shows like The Daily by the New York Times and TED Talks Daily were informative and helped me get used to different accents and speaking speeds. I would listen to these podcasts during my morning walks or while doing household chores, turning passive activities into valuable learning opportunities.